Gothic architecture, that every jot and tittle, every point and niche of it affords room, fuel, and focus for individual fire. But you cease to acknowledge this, and you refuse to accept the help of the lesser mind if you require the work to be all executed in a great manner. Its true delightfulness depends on our discovering in it the record of thoughts and intents and trials and heartbreakings, of recoveries and joyfulnesses of success. All this can be traced by the practiced eye.
And do you think there must have been something particularly satisfying for all the masons and builders who built those Gothic cathedrals in the past?
Oh, yes, I'm sure there was, yes. I don't think most men have much chance to feel proud of their work nowadays.
Could you imagine doing work with a machine?
8 hours a day, every day? Car factory or something? No. But no, I couldn't work a machine for 8 hours a day. No way.
We have much studied and perfected of late the great civilized invention of the division of labor. Only we give it a false name. It is not truly speaking the labor that is divided, but the men. Divided into mere segments of man, broken into small fragments and crumbs of life, so that all the little pieces of intelligence that is left in a man is not enough to make a pin or a nail, but exhausts itself in making the point of a pin and the head of a nail.
Did you always want to work with your hands rather than go to university?
Yeah.
Why did you do that?
I think there's more satisfaction involved. Might be a good life at university, but I think I'm happy with what I'm doing here at the moment.
I mean, John Ruskin, he was celebrating manual labour rather than denigrating it. At the same time, what William Morris picked up from John Ruskin was the idea of creative labour, that unless work was in some sense expressive of the worker's involvement in it, it destroyed him rather than fulfilled him.
I think it all turns on the idea of creative labour as distinct from the dignity of manual labour. Because what can creative labour mean? It does not mean just that one is engaged in producing something. It must mean that a worker is engaged in producing something either that he wants to produce or that he feels a relation to in the course of production, or that he feels is in some way expressing some part of his skill and of himself.
It's nice to see a finished result and see that you've done it yourself and feel the actual substance you're using and feel it giving and everything. And carving it to what you want to do, and whether you want to twist the leaf one way or dive it under another one or something like that.
Now this is where the argument connects not just with what can be said about hand labour as distinct from machine labour, but with the argument about capitalism of who decides what is to be produced. One of the most important things Ruskin emphasized was the need to choose between a basic idea of cooperation and a basic idea of competition. If you look, for example, at what he said about the relation of advertising to production, which at the time wasn't a very large factor. I mean, it certainly seems small by comparison with the situation today. He could see that at a certain point, if your idea of production is governed by competition, then the process of competition is going to take priority over the process even of production. That if you just give yourself up to competition, then what matters is winning.
You may by accident snatch the market, or by energy command it. You may obtain the confidence of the public and cause the ruin of the opponent houses, or you may with equal justice of fortune be ruined by them. Every preference you have won by gaudiness must have been based on the purchaser's vanity. Every demand you have created by novelty has fostered in the consumer a habit of discontent.
Remember, his father was a very successful businessman. He was a partner in the importing firm of Ruskin, Telford and Demek. And over many years, he imported a great deal of Demek sherry into this country. His father didn't really like the idea of Ruskin writing his very advanced articles on his theories of social and political economy, not because he didn't necessarily agree with them, but because he didn't particularly want the name Ruskin to be associated with them. And he didn't want possibly adverse criticism of his son to do any possible damage to his own business. And so Ruskin didn't really write and publish things on social and political economy until after his father's death.
Government and cooperation are the laws of life. Anarchy and competition, the laws of death.
Where this connects is that if people believe from choosing the ethic of competition rather than cooperation, where this connects is that in the end you can get to a situation where anything that gives you an advantage, anything that brings success, is really the priority. And in advertising, I think that this has already happened, and that there is actually more applied research and development in ways of selling things than in ways of making things.